Creative Brain Candy by creators for creators.
You're listening to Simply Stogies, a monthly podcast dedicated to the cigar enthusiast. Light up a stogie, sit back and relax while James brings you along on his journey as a new cigar smoker. Simply Stogies will review cigars, discuss topics that cigar aficionados find important, and will probably learn a few things along the way. Now, here's your host of Simply Stogies, James.
Welcome to Simply Stogies. I am your host, James. This episode will be a look back at the year that was 2020. This is the last episode for this year, for 2020. It's December 15th by the time this releases, and I thought it would be nice to look back on a year that has been full of a lot of downs for a lot of people, but also full of some ups for us here at simplystogies.com and Simply Stogies Podcast. But before I get into the year that was 2020 and we talk about some of those things, I'd like to invite you to go to creativebraincandy.com and check out the wonderful family of podcasts and streamers that we have at creativebraincandy.com, including Bad Gamers Anonymous. If you're a video game fan, Bad Gamers Anonymous is the podcast for you. In fact, this week, December 19th, at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, Bad Gamers Anonymous will be doing their annual Crowley Awards show where they give out their yearly video game awards. So join Kat and Aaron, as well as a lot of the folks from around Creative Brain Candy, as they present and honor some of the best and worst of the year for 2020 in the video game industry. Check out Bad Gamers Anonymous and everyone else at Creative Brain Candy at creativebraincandy.com. Now, before I get into the year that was 2020 and we look forward to 2021, I want to give a big shout out to The Blend News. Go subscribe to their newsletter at www.theblend.news. The link will be in the show notes, where you can sign up for their newsletter. The Blend News is a weekly newsletter that goes out every Monday. They gather all of the latest cigar reviews, releases, deals, and even cigar podcast episodes from really almost everywhere. And right now they're doing a holiday giveaway. If you head over to theblend.news/holiday giveaway, again, the link will be in the show notes. You can enter for their giveaway. And while you're there, sign up for their newsletter. I can tell you firsthand that covering the cigar news from around the industry and trying to add on top of that, all of the deals and all of the reviews from everywhere is nigh impossible. And so what they're doing at the blend.news is they are aggregating everything in one spot, making it easier for you to get the news directly in your inbox every week, every Monday. It's a great opportunity for everybody to keep up on the cigar industry and find out where the latest cigars rank. So check it out, theblend.news. It's the end of the year. I hope everyone has had a fantastic Thanksgiving season, a fantastic holiday season. If you're listening to this after Christmas, a great Christmas season or Hanukkah season or Kwanzaa or however you celebrate the holidays. And I hope you all have a great new year. And I certainly hope that 2021 treats you better than 2020 has. Looking back on this year, on 2020, I'm struck by a few things. And I want to get to as many as I can. And I don't know how long this episode will be. It may not be one of the longer ones, but it is the holidays. Everyone's busy. We all have a lot going on. And so I don't want to take up an extraordinary amount of your time this episode. But what I do want to do is thank every one of our Patreon supporters this year. Honestly, guys, without your support, I would have quit doing this year. Honestly, I would have. And it's not about the monetary aspect of Patreon, but it allows me the opportunity to know that people really are listening. And yeah, I can track the statistics. I can track the downloads. I can track the listens. I can track the streams and all of that's well and good, but that doesn't really tell me if people are listening, and it certainly doesn't allow me an opportunity to interact with those of you who do listen to the show on a regular basis, and have allowed me into your homes, into your lounges, into your man caves, while you smoke a cigar. And so without the support of you patrons, I would have been completely lost this year. There were several times, and I'll get to this a little bit later, where I thought that I was done with this, that it was just too much, and it was time to move on. But I would take a look at the list of those of you that support me monetarily, and I'm like, nah, I'm going to keep doing it for these guys, because you guys are invested in this as much as I am. And so I want to give you a very special thank you and a very special shout out, and just say that you helped me get through this year. And as I look forward to next year, 2021, I'll be shutting down our Patreon page. And instead, I'm going to give everyone a different option to support us. And I've had a lot of people ask for this option, which is a one-time donation. And the best way we can do that is through Buy Me a Coffee. Buy Me a Coffee allows you to make one-time donations of any amount, which you can do now from simplystogies.com. Just click the coffee cup in the lower right-hand corner to donate, or you can visit buymeacoffee.com/simplystogies. I will put the link in our show notes, and that will allow you to support us monetarily. I'll be moving all of our content from Patreon over to Buy Me a Coffee this week, but we're really excited about what Buy Me a Coffee is going to allow us to do and how it's going to allow us to interact with our fans. We're pleased to announce on this episode that we will have a membership into the Simply Stogies Cutter Club. It's $10 a month or $100 for a year, so you get a discount if you do pay for the $100 up front. And it's limited to the first 24 people who sign up for this. And what happens is you get all of the content that we have on Patreon now. You'll get future content in our Tales from the Lounge. We're going to try to do some special events with you folks, some Zoom calls and whatnot. And we're going to try to get out and about and meet as many of you in person as we can in 2021 as COVID allows. So it's limited to the first 24 supporters. You will also get, the first 24 supporters will get a branded cutter, a Simply Stogies branded cutter. We'll be working with Cigar to get that done. I hope. Look forward to that. That's going to be very limited to the first 24 folks who pay the $100 up front, or who pay if 24 people don't get it right away, the first 24 people to pay for a full year's membership. So check it out, buymeacoffee.com/Simply Stogies, and you can click there to become a member. So now that I'm done shilling, which you all know I absolutely hate doing, but I think it's a great way for us to interact with our fans. And like I said, it's really kept me going this last year. I want to take a look back at the year that was 2020 from a perspective as a podcaster, the perspective as a cigar enthusiast, from the perspective of someone who runs a website, a cigar website, and kind of go over some of the things that I saw. And then we'll look at it from the industry view as well. And obviously 2020 has been a tough year for everybody, not just Simply Stogies, not just simplystogies.com, but everybody. It's been a very tough year. And we wanted to hit 2020 running. I remember talking with our content director, Mike, and we had all of these plans that we wanted to do. I sat down with Tim and talked with him, and we decided on a course of action. And we had a vision for what we wanted to do. And very quickly, we realized that vision was not going to be able to happen. We were able to get out to the Nebraska Cigar Festival last year, which I don't think there's going to be one this year. We're still waiting to hear anything official from them, but we don't think 2021 is going to have one. But 2020 did, and it was a fantastic time. We got to meet Anthony Goins and Stacy from Cigars Lounge in Lincoln, Nebraska, and Anthony from Capital Cigars in Lincoln. And we were able to sit down with them and have a great conversation and really talk about the cigar culture in the Midwest. And after that, I was really excited for what 2020 had to offer. And we didn't really know much about the coronavirus or COVID-19. at the time. Very quickly, that all changed, and things started to get canceled, and things started to shut down, and everybody was told to stay home, and things started to look a little less positive and certainly a little less certain for what 2020 was going to bring. And it was shortly after that Mike Breig, as I've talked about on this show before, had to step away from the hobby of cigars due to health issues. And while I'm talking about Mike, I just want to give him one big shout out, because a lot of the direction that we took early on at Simply Stogies Podcast and simplystogies.com was due to what Mike had in his mind, what his vision was. And he and I had worked together to hammer that out. And we really started to move in a direction of a news organization. And we had done all the right things, and we were talking to the right people, and we were doing everything that we needed to do to move in that direction. And when he had to step away from the hobby and step away from simplystogies.com, that was a big blow for us. He was the gentleman who knew how to do cigar reviews, and he knew how to do them well. He had been doing them for years. He had trained his palate. And honestly, I loved reading his reviews. I thought they were very well done. So it was a big blow for us. And this was right around that time that COVID started to pick up. And I thought, man, is this the end? That was really my first thoughts of maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Maybe this isn't for me. Maybe the hobby's not for me. And so the wind was really taken out of our sails. But thankfully, just a few months after that, Matthew Kang came on board. Matthew is he's been on this podcast twice now, I believe. He's an editor for Eater LA. He knows his stuff. He helps run that website and get that content out. And so he brings that expertise to simplystogies.com, and he does it free of charge. And so, as does everyone on our staff, we all do this free of charge. And while I appreciate any support that we get monetarily from patrons, all of that money goes directly back into keeping the podcast running, keeping simplystogies.com up and running, and getting the reviews out, because we pay for everything ourselves. And if something was given to us, we definitely let you know that, and that you can find that in our statement of ethics at simplystogies.com. So once we brought Matthew Kang on board, things started to move in the right direction again. We brought on Michael Gouge, who does our pipes and pipe tobacco reviews. We brought on David Howell, who does our Cuban reviews. And I think he's planning on doing some non-Cuban reviews as well in the future, but right now he primarily does our Cuban reviews. And so things started to get back to normal, and Matthew moved us in the direction of really putting out a lot of pieces directed towards the cigar smoker, the everyday cigar smoker, which is what we've always been. We're not snobbish about what we like. Sure, I like the boutique stuff, but that's me. And I think that small is where it's at. It's definitely quality over quantity. But Matthew brings a big diverse background where he likes a lot of different cigars. And so now we've moved into the budget cigars, and we're going to continue to move in that direction. And so I'm excited again about where things were going. But about a month after Matthew was brought on board, where I live here in the Midwest got hit with a pretty bad storm. It was a Category 2 hurricane, I think is what it was finally categorized at, for about an hour. And the Midwest just isn't built for that. And I had trees fall on my property, trees fall on my garage. And again, that put the content coming out at a snail's pace, because I had no internet for several weeks. I had, it was just my phone, and that network was overloaded. And so again, I felt like, man, maybe the universe is trying to tell me something. All of these events got canceled. The PCA trade show got canceled that we were planning on going to. We were going to go to the Rocky Mountain Cigar Festival. That got canceled. It was hard. It was really hard. And I thought about giving up quite a bit during those 3 weeks where I didn't have power and I didn't have internet. And it was hard to come back from that. But again, with the support of Matthew and Frank and Tim and Michael and David and all of the patrons and all of you who listen. We came back, and I was able to come back, and I feel like we're in a better spot now to really bring you a lot of good stuff coming up in 2021. We're going to continue to do our lounge reviews as things begin to open up now that we have a vaccine. As long as the vaccine is effective, like they say it is, I think in the next 4 or 5 months, you're going to start seeing things open up, probably by spring. Certainly by summer, when the PCA trade show is scheduled to go on, I'm hoping things are going to start getting back to some semblance of normal. Even if we're still wearing masks, we'll still be able to go out and interact with others and do so safely and not have to worry about the virus. So we're really looking forward to 2021 and what that's going to have to bring. We're going to be doing, like I said, the lounge reviews. We're going to be doing product reviews. I've got a product review for a cigar punch that I picked up that I'm pretty excited about. And so I've been ordering cigars. 'Tis the season. And so there's going to be a lot of reviews coming out in the next 3-4 months that I'm hoping that you're all going to enjoy. And you're still going to get a lounge review before the end of this month, before the end of the year. And then you'll have one again at the beginning of the year. And then it might be a little slow with the lounge reviews because of COVID, but there's a lot of good stuff coming out. We're really excited about it. Cigars and Coffee on our YouTube channel. We started a YouTube channel this year. That was fantastic. And it's fun. It's another medium. And you get to see a different side of me. And you get to hear Tim, and you get to see Tim, and you get to see me. And it's always a good time getting to hang out with Tim, talk about coffee, talk about cigars, and really just talk about anything that's going on in and around the cigar industry and in our lives. So you can check that out, youtube.com/Simply Stogies. Again, I'll put the link in the show notes for that. And if you haven't checked that out, please do so. So while I'm excited about what 2021 has to offer, what 2020 did to Simply Stogies and simplystogies.com, it did more so to small business and business owners around the country. It impacted small business in a way that I don't think we're really going to understand for a couple of years. We've already seen a lot of small businesses close. We're going to see probably a lot more close before this is over. Some cigar lounges will stay open and some won't. And that's unfortunate. So I want to take this opportunity to remind you, our listeners, to please support your local B&Ms however you can. I know it's cheaper to buy cigars online, but if we lose our lounges, we lose more than just a place to smoke when it gets cold outside or when it's raining. We lose a starting point for people to enter the hobby. We lose a point of knowledge for new cigar smokers and new cigar enthusiasts. And they're really the front line of a lot of things. They're the front line of the holders of knowledge. They're the front line of letting customers know about all of the new things coming out, especially not everybody follows this stuff on the internet as much as I do, or as like the blend.news does. A lot of people don't do that. They go into their local B&M and they're like, hey, what's new? So support your local B&M however you can. Whether that's buying cigars, buying a box of cigars, buy local, support local, even if it's a gift card. And if you can't support monetarily, support them online. Almost everyone these days has a social media account. Tag your local B&M, throw them out on social media, and give them a huge shout out. That's just another way that you can support your local lounge. And let us know if you'd like us to come take a look at your lounge, do a lounge review, talk to the owners, talk to the patrons. That's a lot of fun for us. And we like to support all the local lounges around the country as much as we can. There's a lot of nice big lounges out there. Casa de Monte Cristo, the Rocky Patel lounges, the famous Cigar Shop lounge. They're all large and they do a lot of business, and they do a lot of business online. But we also like to support and showcase the mom and pop shops, the small business owners around the country. So if you've got a lounge that you think we should come take a look at, send us an email, info@simplystogies.com, and we'll try to get them on the list for 2021 or as soon as we can, depending on COVID. Beyond just the local impact COVID has had. It has had a broader impact on the cigar industry. Cigar factories, cigar rollers, cigar production in general was impacted in a very big way. And a lot of these places are located in Honduras, Costa Rica, Dominican Republic, Nicaragua, in places that have been hit hard from the effects of coronavirus. So that means that the cigar industry has seen a slowdown in production, a slowdown in box production, which was something I didn't even think of until this happened, and a slowdown in shipping. So there have been delays all over the place. So things that we thought we were going to see a month or two ago, or even 3 or 4 months ago, have been constantly 3 or 4 months behind. I think a great example of that is the Castagli Daughters of the Wind Robusto. Normally, when they put out the pony, it's put out in a box of 15. It's a very nice box, ornate, looks beautiful. It's beautifully crafted, just like the cigar. They had a very limited supply of boxes, and so they made 25 count COVID-19 special boxes. And I think for the most part, those are sold out everywhere now. But that's just one example. And I know that it has impacted Stolen Throne. It's literally impacted almost everyone that I've talked to in some way or another when it comes to their business. So it's been rough. It's been a rough year for everyone. However, the cigar industry did get a couple of big wins this year when it came to the FDA. When I first came into this hobby in 2018, a lot of people were talking about the FDA, and I'm like, I didn't understand it. I didn't get why that was such a big deal for everybody. And the more I got into this hobby and the more I started to read about it, and the more I started to learn about it, I realized how impactful this could be, especially when I first talked to Glenn Loop all the way back in episode 3 of Simply Stogies. And so 2020, while it has been just an absolutely terrible year, almost universally, for the cigar industry, despite all of the production issues and the shipping delays, it was a pretty big win against the FDA. And hopefully it'll be a long-term win. But in October, the FDA was told they had to go back to the drawing board when it came to certain things they were trying to regulate within the cigar industry. And honestly, if the FDA, because they did say earlier this year that the cigar industry is not their primary concern, if they hold to that, I'm not sure how quick they're going to come back from the drawing board with how they want to regulate the cigar industry. If that holds true, I think, and I've said this before on the show, 2021, looking forward, the fight is going to be in every state. Which is why, again, it's important to support a couple of different things. The first is your local B&M. Not only are they the first line, of keepers of knowledge and all of the new releases and those kind of things, and shepherding people into the hobby, but they're also the first line when it comes to the first line of defense when it comes to lobbying, especially on the state level. On a local and state level, nobody knows the politics better than a lounge owner, a B&M owner who is involved, who is knowledgeable, and who is attentive. If they are paying attention and if they are smart, they will get to know the politicians in the area, and they'll be able to gauge how friendly they are to cigars and to pipes. And being the keepers of knowledge that they are, they're able to explain the difference between vaping and a cigar or a pipe. They're able to explain the difference between a hookah and a cigarette. And that is invaluable, because while we have the PCA and we have the CRA who certainly go in and they help and they offer their help to work against regulation, state regulation, and it's really down to the locals. And the locals are the ones who will know the lobbyists, they'll know the lawmakers, and they'll be able to stop things from getting passed or be able to change the language So it's more important than ever to support your local B&M for that. But the CRA and the PCA certainly have a role to play when it comes to this. And while they have been mostly focused on federal, that was out of, I believe, a necessity. They had to be focused on federal. And it'll be interesting to see how the CRA and the FDA pivot to take on state fights. And I know, at least in one instance, when I talked to a lounge owner earlier this year, and I've talked to several lounge owners, so don't try to figure out who it was or what state it was. But I know that the PCA had offered them assistance, and he told them, nope, I'll take care of it. Like we've got this. Our community has this. We'll take care of it. But they still have a role to play. And if they can offer help in instances where maybe the lounge owners and the business owners aren't able to come together and raise the funds to get a lobbyist in there to help change a language, stop a law from being passed, that's where they're at. If you're not a member of the CRA, go to simplystogies.com, scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page. You'll be able to click on the CRA. You'll be able to join from there. It's not very expensive. And honestly, it's worth it. It's absolutely worth it. In 2021, I'm telling you, the fight is going to start to pivot from federal level to state level. And it's up to us as cigar enthusiasts and cigar aficionados to really make sure that we're doing our part to keep the right that we have right now to smoke tobacco the way we want to smoke tobacco. I think that's where I want to leave it. I think that's where I want to leave this episode, is with 2021 being hopeful that we'll be able to support the CRA and the PCA, and that they'll be able to pivot in a manner that will help local communities, local economies, state economies, and help small business owners. And that's really what the PCA and the CRA are all about. So I hope you have a happy holidays. I am looking forward to talking to you all again in 2021. Please, if you're interested in supporting us, go to buymeacoffee.com/simplystogies.com and donate there to help keep the lights on and bring you the sultry and dulcet tones out of my mouth hole twice a month. I appreciate you all. I hope you all had a happy holidays and a very happy new year. And join me next time on Simply Stogies, where I'm not sure what I'll be talking about, but I promise it'll be Simply Stogies. Stay smoky, friends.
Thank you for listening to Simply Stogies. Please rate and review Simply Stogies on iTunes. You can follow James on his cigar journey on Instagram at Simply Stogies Podcast, all one word, and on Twitter at the Twitter handle at Simply Stogies.